You should know by Moon and Unit. YSK that an organized answer in an exam is more likely to get a higher guard, especially in courses with hundreds of students. My handwriting would make my math midterms finals look like organized chicken scratch. To compensate for that, I always circled my final answer. Bad handwriting is not an issue. I can read almost everything you'll write. However, if the answer is not organized and filled with scribble, it will be a problem. YSK, I still see some typos. Edit, my own typos. Always have someone proofread your edit posts and term papers. Seriously. Always have someone proofread your paper. Bad grammar is frustrating for the reader and will lead to at least a whole letter grade deduction. Garde. I see what you did there. Are you likely to get a higher guard if you use spell check? No, I don't read the entire answer. I just look for keywords. Just like my posts. I am an examiner in the UK, and for essay answers, there is literally a limit to the marks for a disorganized answer, in my subject at least. Currently a TA can confirm. I cannot emphasize enough the amusement I get from the word guard in this particular title. Read the last line of the post too. Okay, so make it so we can answer in bullet points instead of enforcing a strict 3-paragraph minimum. No joke, I was a physics TA, and some people would do the whole 5-paragraph essay thing for everything that allowed text. You know, intro, 3 points, conclusion. I hated it so much. I told my students it wasn't needed unless I asked for an essay. I told them to write only as much as they need to communicate the point. I told them I didn't want flowery prose that said the same damn thing 5 times in different forms to pad length. Didn't matter, each semester, I could never escape from the pointless essayists. It bewilders me to this day. I don't want to read a damn essay on what the resistance of this resistor is. Just tell me. This answer is a mass. Well preached. The reason I am writing such a long-winded answer is really just to make it look as if this is a well thought out and articulated thought. 16. Not unlike this long-winded YSK. Reeks of I'm very smart. In math I'll box in red any important steps and my final answer to help the TA. Some of my students do it as well. It's very helpful. Also, if you're still young enough to take the AP Physics exam one day, know that on the FRQs you can assume any values you want for any variable in writing. For example, clearly write assuming x equals 10 at the proper point in your work, and get only minimal points taken off. Don't know the answers to one section, or just don't want to work with a long decimal? Make assumptions for all the variables you are supposed to have solved for at the beginning of the next one. Pick easy to work with numbers, and do all the rest of the math clearly and correctly. Makes the passing score way easier. I have done this before. I knew the numbers to part A were well off, so I just crossed the lot out and wrote random, but simple, numbers in the answer field. No marks for working out on that part, so no point trying to bullshit it. Part B was where the bulk of the marks were and did have points for working out. I literally just made up numbers that looked easy and only lost 1 mark out of 10 for the entire question. Rescuing points was basically my entire exam strategy. No points for punctuation, sentence structure and grammar. You are getting bullet points. I like my guards low, thank you very much. YSK, this entire subreddit is filled with people stating the obvious. Lecturing Reddit about clear writing in a spelling error filled mass is not a great look. You could have also said the same thing in 1 paragraph instead of 4. Also, what's the story with 4.5-year TA career? Working on a PhD? TA tenure? I think the biggest problem with this is that people don't know the answers, so they need to somehow fluff it and add things to make it seem like they know. There is a solution for that. Something that I saw during my first years in the university. If you leave an empty answer, you'll get a certain percentage of the question points. It allows the students to say that they don't know the answer and still get some points. I also saves time to the TA that doesn't need to spend time trying to figure out wrong answers. Win-win. You had one JBO. Hopefully you are not grading English or grammar exams. I don't. English is not my native language and I suffer from dyslexia. So I can live with your judgment. In one of my upper level engineering courses I had a class that I failed twice and passed the third time. The first 2 times I tried really hard and showed pages of calculations on my exams, only to either get confused on setup or I would make a small calculation error and get the wrong answer. I still got points because I showed my work, but usually still failed. The third time around I figured out that professor allowed T89s on the exam, and also deducted 20% for not showing work. I had a kid show me how to program the T89. And after that my 3-hour exams took 20 minutes, with no work shown and only an answer circled next to the problem statement. I took my B and my degree and never looked back. YSK that this may only apply to very specific places and is definitely not a good general advice. YSK that most exams can hardly be finished completely in the time given, let alone giving organized answers with superb handwriting. As a TA for physics, and ARPS points are good ones. Besides the frustration part, any grader that lowers points out of frustration needs to not be grading. Organized answers are about clearly demonstrating the flow of your reasoning. If you are well practiced solving problems, it takes no additional time to present the order of your work reasonably, because you aren't going to be solving the problem out of order or be unsure of what the next step is going to be. The bottom line is that problem solving on a test is all about convincing the grader you know what you are doing. If the grader can't follow your reasoning, you didn't do your job. On the issue of completing exams, all our exams were possible to finish with time to spare. Some students always did, but some students always thought they weren't 9 times out of 10. I could name all the students in the first category by name cause they came to office hours, emailed me asking for help, came to my review sessions, and so on. It's for this reason that I am so happy I got to do all my exams on computers. My handwriting is ineligible and I struggle to organize, but when I'm on a PC, I can type faster, it's more legible and reorganizing my answers was just so easy. And X200B. I really think all exam participants should have the option to do it on PC. It just makes it easier for nearly everyone involved, except it. This also helps when you are spewing bullshit out of your ass, and I'm trying to understand your reasoning. For example, if you write steps 1, 2, and 4 incorrect, but wrote step 3 correct, then if your paper is organized I'll be able to give some grades for that part. If it isn't, then I'll likely not find it. My handwriting is generally bad. I'd be fucking pissed if they deducted points for their frustration. I usually figure out the problem as I go, and as a result of that my exam paper is a mess. I never get the grade I expect. Thanks for the tip. Same with police. Just say what you need to. Concise and to the point. Okay, give correct answers. Got it. Basically, yes. The tar will think your answer is incorrect. Well, that's just pure laziness. So what if the writing isn't up to your standards? You still should do your job properly. When you check 400 tests you can't spend 5 or even 2 minutes for each exam. Even if you will, you'll lose focus after reading the same thing for the 100th time. You can say that it's laziness, but we are human and we make mistakes. This is why students usually have the right to appeal. So basically, you're saying you're unprofessional and bad at your job and the students should make it easier for you or else. That's what I'm getting from this post. When I was in college I used to organize all my answers in paragraphs to separate different concepts, underlining keywords too. Some teachers love it, but my anthropology teacher told me my writing style was boring and took 2 points out of my score in the first exam because of that. Your handwritten is unreadable. Facipant. Edit. Oh. Engineering. You get a pass, I guess. Edit 2. If your answer is a mass, what if my answer is a weight? What then? Box circle your answers. Organized answer? You actually want me to answer them? En garde. Interesting. This is the same advice for lots of fields. I write proposals for government contracts and this is basically the key to winning them as well. I always underline my thesis and most important sentence in every essay or written response question. It helps to keep me on topic and makes the job easier for my grader, I hope. As a physics professor I try to give partial credit where I can, and I am on the hunt for any evidence that you know what you're talking about. I recommend to my students that they always write down the equation they are going to use before plugging numbers into their calculator. Also, on homework I've seen students try to squeeze an entire derivation into as few lines as possible. Don't do that. Spread things out a bit if you can. It makes it more legible and easier to write comments if your grader likes to do that. The number of misspelling in titles is too high. En garde. Wanted to add on that some, maybe a rare bunch, but still, TAs do take a deep dive into YSK's answers. It helps to do that if you're between grades or whatever. Source, was a TA for 1 year in 2013, and then for 4 years from 2015. Came here for the misspelled grade in a post about education. Another tip to help you stay organized. I am very scatterbrained, and stress makes me forget easy answers. So when I am reading through the questions before starting with the answers, I write main points in the margins. If you want your paper neat, do it in pencil and erase it when you are done. This might not help everyone, but this works for me. That scissors great tip. I actually use it each time I'm solving a problem, but I tell my students to use markers. This tip really helped me with my tests. Just write main points readable, rest unreadable deliberately. I can work with that. Also only write as much as you need to actually answer the question 1. For the same reasons as above, if I'm having to read longer answers files with unnecessary info I'm just going to get frustrated. And 2. Often students will get the answer right.